Ona was not a very engaged in my life. In high school, I remember writing to her and asking if she would send me some money to buy trombone music.
You had the blue suede shoes covered. You just wanted some trombone music.
That's
to
right.
woo the lasses.
No doubt. No, you would hit them with the slide trombone, get their attention. Yeah, the saddest day of my life might have been my graduation, because Mom came first, and I picked her up at the airport, and then Dad came, and I was expecting him to get in the front seat with me. Mom was in the back seat. Instead, he got in the back seat with her and said, "Hello, Mrs. Rees, how are you?" And of course, she hadn't been Mrs. Rees forever and ever. The next few days, they just got along like old pals. And I was just, to me, I just kept thinking what might have been. And then we took
What a charmer.
Yeah, he was. As Mom said, your dad could charm the scales off a snake, Bobby. And then what happened? We took Dad to the airport and dropped him off. She got in the car. She was very quiet. And as we were driving back home, she said, "I've never fallen out of love with your dad, Bobby." And it was so heartbreaking in a way, because I realized then what might have been, although I think it couldn't have been, because they were just so tragically immature. But for her to have said all those years she'd never stopped loving Dad was really hard to hear. It just made me immensely sad. And then she left and went to Arizona to see Kenny Deal, her daughter's former third husband, and married him. And lived there until she died of a heart failure of some kind.
Do you think she had heart problems from having...
She had rheumatic fever
when
when she was a child, but she also had a really hard life.
Yeah.
She tried to abort me. She was depressed, and I'm sure living in those very hard conditions. And they were drinking, and who knows what Dad was doing. And so I think, again, I see her as a tragic figure. But I'm grateful that at periods in her life, and I think with Kenny, I think she had a few years of happiness. But it was a tough life.
Was he older than she, Kenny Deal?
He was about Mom's age. He was much older than Janet.
How did Janet meet him?
I have no idea. He was Janet's third husband. And then Janet went off to live with Mom's brother, which was, again, something strange in our family. But I once calculated that somebody in my family had, if you took all of them together, we had broken all 10 of the commandments and broken every cardinal sin.
Probably right now.
Still going on. So...
It amazes me, though, that you five are still so loving and sweet with one another, considering, if you string the months together, you didn't spend very much time growing up together.
Yeah, and Bill was hostile to me for most of my adult life. He baited me all the time. He put me down all the time. He could be outrageous when we went to maybe it's Clayton's wedding. He's making really inappropriate sexual statements in front of your mother.
I remember that.
And Bill was a tragic figure for me. Again, but you know, I think the girls were close to him. He and Clayton were very close. For a while, they worked together. They ran a Union Oil station in Portland. It's kind of interesting, you know, about all siblings, because my siblings all thought I was the favored child, and I said to them, "Boy, that was news to me." And they said, "Well, Dad paid your way through college," and I said, "Like hell, he did. He didn't pay my way through college. I did." "Oh, well, we thought he did," and you know, all of this. But the perception that the children have about their parents. But I feel protective of the girls. I think they had very hard lives, you know. So I have a wonderful relationship with Clayton. Clayton and I are real brothers. Bill was always more difficult for me because he was really hostile toward me.
But it seems like not until later. It seems that
Yeah.
you were really close.
We were very close as two boys. Yeah, we were very close growing up. And he, again, was being nearly 2 years older, suffered more than I did. And, you know, he remembers when we were in Durango, and he remembers Mom, our overhearing Louis raping our mother in the next room. I had no remembrance of it.
How old would you have been?
7 or 8, I guess. I think that's probably what I was. But it's probably something that I simply repressed. But Bill remembered it. So he remembered things and experienced them in a different way than I did.
Of course.
As an older child. And
what happened with the axe?
The axe? Gloria got mad at me and hit me in the nose, and fortunately didn't do more than cause that scar there.
I didn't know if it was Gloria or Evelyn.
This scar here was when Bill, we were going up a mountain, and he was ahead of me, and he said, "Hey, Bob, look up." And I looked up, and a rock came, hit me right in the head. I mean, again, given the fact that we were, you know, running around like wild kids, almost feral in a way, because nobody was really minding us. We just knew we had to be home to eat and go to bed, but you know, nobody was saying, "Where have you been today?" Because you know, we were down playing on the river or out playing in the desert, and where rattlesnakes were, and picking up all kinds of reptiles and stuff. So yeah, it was.
It's pretty remarkable though, because all 3 of Granddad's boys got PhDs.
Yeah, Clayton didn't get a PhD, but he had a couple of
did.
master's degrees.
I thought he did. He didn't. So
maybe he did. I can't remember.
Ultimately.
But we all did graduate school. Yeah, yeah. And Bill has a PhD in psychology and taught for a little while at Idaho State University.
Do you think maybe as he got older, mental illness took effect with him?
Bill was addicted to alcohol, I think possibly drugs and sex. And he talks in this one letter I just read, he talks about his obsession with sex, which began really early. So that and the drinking, I mean, he married a wonderful woman, Lael, and had 2 really amazing kids, but he was not a good father. He was hardworking, very hardworking, but and he was interested in reading. He became an atheist. But he was often, you know, sending me, "You should read this, or you should read that, or how can you believe in God?" And a lot of his letters were, you know, basically critical of me.
You must have felt very free when you went to college and got away from
I did.
all of that.
I did. I
I mean,
felt,
just the whole family
I felt free,
dysfunction.
and I felt really in emboldened and energized to make my life. I really did. I just felt this kind of euphoria that I could turn my back on all of that, and the church was just a great place for me. I owe an enormous amount to Mormon culture. For one thing, there were people there who loved me. When I was, again, I'm getting up at 15. I'm riding the bus to church. I go to church, and there are wonderful people there who welcome me and are glad to see me. And so it's, and going to BYU, that became a whole big culture of thousands of people who were following the same principles I believed in.
And alternate role models and your teachers.
Yeah, a lot of role models and teachers and bishops and others. Yeah.